This is Cadillac Unscripted on 107.9 CDY. It's sponsored by Independent Bank. I am Rich Spicer. Katie Huckle is my co-host, and she's right next to me. How are you, Katie?
I'm doing great. Good morning.
We're springing into reading today.
Oh my gosh, we're springing into spring today. The weather is glorious. And welcome, Dave Johnson. He's a favorite, Rich.
Yes, he is.
He makes us smile.
Dave and I go back, probably not as far as you and he do, but when I worked at the other station, Dave called me or emailed me and said, I've got something going on with my music people, your drama club, or was it drama club?
Yes.
It was. And that's how I met Dave. Dave brought kids to the other radio station up on the hill, and we did an interview. And awesome. Dave and I then became co-workers at the ISD.
Boy. Yeah, he's a champion for kids. We know that. I got to be in theater with Dave, and I was his absent-minded Brandine, my name was. He owned a racetrack, and I was on his arm, if you will.
What production was this?
It was a murder mystery.
Okay.
He put me away in an asylum. See? I'd been in an accident and had a closed head injury, and Jason Elmore, my brother, rescued me.
Okay.
But yeah, he was kind of the big dog of the production in that he had all the money.
Okay.
And so, I wasn't a gold digger or anything.
Okay.
But my name was Brandine.
Okay.
True story.
You forgot the horse.
Oh my God. And I had a puppet. So you remember what Lamb Chop, okay?
Sherry Lewis and Lamb Chop.
Thank you. Now, this is how smart Amy Peltier is. My puppet's name was T-Biscuit. And Sally said to me when the puppet came, she said, put the puppet on your arm. I did. She said, don't ever take your arm down. And don't ever act like this isn't attached to you. So she always says that whoever gets the most votes as the murderer was the best actor, okay? Guess who got the most votes that year? T-Biscuit. No, not me. I'm like, hello, people. That is me, the puppet. Anyway, I ended up giving it to a child after the show, but people were just mesmerized by this puppet. And like a week before the show, Sally's like, yeah, you're going to need to change your voice. I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, you're going to have your voice, and then you're going to talk like this with T-Biscuit.
So did your mouth actually move, or did you do a Jeff Dunham thing?
I did pretty good with that, wouldn't you say?
We're going to get to you eventually, Dave.
Oh, no, this is...
I will tell you, my bicep in my right arm was chiseled by the time thing was done.
Yeah.
She was
sort of like tennis elbow.
It was great.
Oh, thank you. It was so fun acting with Dave. We had a great time. One of my favorite shows.
So we're going to talk about your day job.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
All right. I work at the ISD, as you mentioned. I work with Rich over there, and I do a lot of things. I wear the social emotional learning consultant hat. I do social studies, but I also do secondary English language arts, and that's kind of where all of this came about.
So what does that mean, secondary? Is that English as a second language?
Oh, good question. No,
Okay.
it's secondary is in like 6th grade through 12th grade. So we usually in education, we're like elementary or secondary. And so elementary is usually K-5 and secondary is 6-12. So it's just a way of categorizing and organizing the focus of what you're looking at.
So do you silently correct people's English and grammar when they're talking to you?
All the time. But then you mentioned Amy Peltier, then I send her. Oh, Rich just gave me the evil eye. But
has nothing to do with you.
Okay.
But then I send things to Amy Peltier, and she's like, "So I found 12 things wrong with this," and so I do it, but there are people that are much better at it than me, so I probably should stop.
Yeah, Amy can humble a person. She doesn't even mean to, but she's just so scary brilliant.
She really knows her stuff.
She does.
She does.
She does. So tell us about your latest project. You're passionate about it. Tell us what you're doing.
So, there's this problem. If you were to take your arms and make an X with it, over the years, students are exposed to more and more reading in class. And so, the arm that starts downward left and goes up towards the right, that's the amount of reading that kids do over the course of a school year. And every school year it increases more and more.
Okay.
But then the other arm, the one that starts at the top on the left and goes down to the right, that's their interest level in reading. So it all sort of peaks in elementary school.
I see.
And so we're asking kids to do more and more reading in class, and they don't always like to do that. And so they start to associate reading as something that isn't fun to do, which breaks my heart because I love to read. And so just trying to think about some ways to change that. Research shows that high interest books in classroom libraries in particular, a lot of school districts have a library proper, but it's open weird hours. It's staffed by people who do other things, so it's not always there. Having classroom libraries where they're there with the teacher during the day and they can walk over to the classroom library, pick a book out, take it home and read it. Like, we really want to encourage that. So I worked with our secondary ELA teachers around the ISD, and I went to Horizon Books in Cadillac. Teresa there is another friend from acting.
Awesome woman.
Awesome, absolutely. And I just said, hey, I've got this crazy idea. What could we do? And in true Teresa fashion, it was, oh, what can we do? Let me tell you what we can do. And so we sort of came up with this idea. We had the teachers develop wish lists of books that primarily a lot of them pulled the kids. What books do you want to see? What books do you want to read that you don't have access to because the library's closed or, we don't own it or have it. And so we've got about 10 teachers and a couple more will come online shortly who developed wish lists, and they're available on this website. Or in store. And our hope is that people will either go online or go into Cadillac, the Horizon Books there, and pick up these books.
Awesome. Your other work didn't go away, and you just created a lot more work. But behind that work is, again, a passion. You recognized a need, and you're filling it. And we're really thankful for that.
How do you explain and I have a feeling I know exactly what you're going to say as I ask this question, but how do you explain the reduction in enthusiasm from young readers?
Well, there's a ton of reasons.
The phone?
The phone is definitely one of them.
Okay.
I mean, I myself took a pause from reading after I got my first iPhone. It was so shiny and crazy and way different than that Motorola Razr that I had that was falling apart,
That's called a dinosaur.
It is.
Prehistoric. I love it.
So it's partially that. It's partially developmentally as, you hit middle school, things happen, and you lose some interest in that as well. But there's just a lot of reasons. And so, again, books that are high interest for kids in those age ranges, it's really important to have access to that. If they see their friends reading one of those, they may be inclined to pick it up. So, yeah.
It's true. And I have started a pastor friend of mine in Grand Rapids, Larry Kirk, who owned Quadrant Northwest for years, sent me a devotion book, and I have now mailed that devotion book to 6 different people because it's a great way to start every morning. But honestly, I canceled television in my home. I think I have 4 flat screens in my home, and everyone's like, what do you mean we can't turn the TV on? I'm like, what do we need to watch TV for? You know what I mean? But it's time to monitor how we spend our time. And can you tell us what reading does for us, why it's so important?
Well, I mean, it helps in language development even after that portion of the brain officially sits down. But it's also just, you think about mindfulness and all of those things that are out there right now. And it's an escape. It's not this world. You still have bills when you're, in the book and ensconced in it and can't get away from it. But, remember you have those. It can take away your worry. It can make you feel things that a TV show might not be able to. It can make you laugh. I've had books that I close when I'm done and I'm just bawling. The writer did such a good job crafting those words on the page that I was so obsessed with the characters that I was sad it was over, and
it's true.
Yeah, doing those things. I want kids doing that too. I want them to find that next great book that just makes them feel all the things and makes them want to pick up another and another and another.
So as your lists were formulated by the teachers, did you find any common themes or even common titles that they wanted?
It's a great question. Yes, there are, some of the, like John Green was big. He wrote like The Fault in Our Stars, which they made a movie of a few years ago. Yes. He was big on some of the lists. There were some classics from when I was teaching in Missaukee. The Percy Jackson books ended up on a couple. There were some classics too. I was kind of surprised that there were some classics on the list. We had Catcher in the Rye popped up, Treasure Island popped up. So it's a wide range of lists. Modern, I don't want to say old, but modern and classics. We'll call them classics and everything in between. It was really, really cool.
What about Harry Potter?
I think Harry Potter may have ended up on a couple of them. They've been around for a really long time, and a lot of times through Scholastic, they're already in a lot of libraries, but they're also probably falling apart. So some new copies of that ended up in there too.
And the kids at that age for Harry Potter have probably seen the movies. So is there an interest in reading the book if they've already seen the movie?
You know, I think so.
There should be.
There should be.
Yeah.
The book is always better than the movie.
Always.
Always, but they don't always realize that. And sometimes seeing a movie and reading the book is a good exercise for them. My own daughter is in one of the classrooms where there's a wish list, and I bought her a copy of one of the books that was on there because she was interested in it. And I told her, if you want to watch the movie first so that it helps you figure out a little bit better what's happening, what's taking place, I am okay with that, but you have to read the book too. And she was good with that.
Here's a question for you, gentlemen. What was the first series that you ever read as a kid?
Oh, for me, I think the first series I read was probably The Chronicles of Narnia.
Okay.
But I think I read them out of order because I was really confused. And then I read them again a few years later in the right order. And I went, oh, this makes more sense now. I get it.
He's younger than us. How about you?
For me, I don't know if you call it a series, but I love the Judy Blume.
Of course you did.
Books.
This explains why you're so
Fudge.
sensitive. I love it. I read...
What do you mean I'm sensitive?
Oh,
I'm just
yeah.
joking. I'm
right.
kidding. Just
This is
don't.
why everyone bears their soul to you, Rich. Trixie Belden. Trixie Belden. You probably...
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I mean, and I can remember that escape. I can remember, whatever, things happening as a kid and thinking, I really don't want to deal with this, and that was a nice getaway. Yeah. And to find a quiet space to do it in a beautiful space. And you never finish reading and feel worse. You always finish reading and feel better.
Yeah.
So when you first communicated with this group of teachers, were they on board right away?
Yeah.
Or did it take some convincing?
So, when you do your taxes as a teacher, there's this little box near the front that says, have you spent, $300? It was up to this year to $300 in your own classroom. And you tick the box, and that's like the extent of the deduction a teacher gets. But I know I'm married to someone who's still in the classroom, and I know she spends way more than that on her own classroom. Mm-hmm. So, there's always this, I can do it, I can get these books, I can bring it in. But when I said we were going to try this, they were pretty much all on board. They're like, hey, it would be great to get these books in here, and for me not to have to buy all of them when I'm getting the Kleenex and the pencils and the everything else that adds up from day to day. So they were pretty excited. And then I just today had a teacher from one of the schools who didn't attend those meetings who said, hey, I just heard about this. Can I get a list together and can you get it up on the website? I'm like, absolutely. So I'm hoping we keep onboarding teachers throughout this, and I hope we can do this every year in the spring.
Okay. So question, who's funding this, Dave?
So the books are available in Horizon Books, and what we're hoping will happen is that people will either go online to our website and pull up a wish list and purchase it, in which case we've got a mechanism there where Horizon will sort it out and put it in a box, and we'll take them over there.
Okay.
Or you can go into Horizon Books in Cadillac and look for, Teresa's got a great display going, and books all have a bookmark in them.
Okay.
And you can take a book out, open the bookmark, and you can see this was requested by Mrs. Hamlet from McMain, or this was requested by Mrs. Beckwith from Manton. And so they'll just take it to the register, pay for it, and leave it there. And we will hopefully in a few weeks start delivering hopefully huge stacks of books to teachers. So it'll be the community, and I'm really hopeful that they will get behind this. I've lived here over 20 years at this point, and this is a really great community. They really like to support their schools and their kids, and I'm hopeful it'll happen again here. So.
Oh, it absolutely will. And show the community a need, and the need will get filled.
Absolutely.
Isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. I also think that you're going to get some feedback from authors. Once authors find out about your initiative, I think you'll see some donations from authors.
That'd be cool.
Wouldn't it?
That would be
Let's
really
get the
cool.
word out, huh?
Yeah. Well, that's why we're here.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get it on our website and everything. We know that we're in a mental health crisis. We've heard that from Dr. Whalen. We've heard that from Donna Norkley from the district health department. And so what can we do to build resilience in our kids? I mean, we need to be working on it as adults, clearly, but let's give them a chance. And I feel like this is a way to give them an outlet, a healthy outlet. Dave.
Yeah.
And like he said, get off the phone, everybody. Even us.
Yeah, you and me both.
It's
It
so
is.
hard.
It's really difficult.
I mean, it was okay. This is a true story. I was at a dinner party a couple months ago, and the host shushed me, and he said, and he looked at his phone. And I said, "What?" And he said, "Little River's gonna open early on Saturday." I said, "The casino." And I said, well, "Oh, good. Did everybody get that?" Like, I don't really care about casinos. My friend really does, but everyone had to be quiet at the dinner table as he made the announcement about the casino. And I thought, I'm going to make a rule. Everybody's got to put their phone away at the dining room table.
Yep.
Yeah.
Isn't
You
it?
know, the most heartbreaking thing to me is to go into a restaurant and see a couple sitting there, not communicating with each other, both on their phones.
Oh, I've done it though, Rich. My wife and I both have.
That's what. But dinner is about communicating face to face.
You know, and I missed I told you, I had one of my best friends for dinner last night, and it was a lovely meal, but and kind of melancholy for us after a loss. And a big, important business call came in. And I had to text this person and say, I am 6:30, I said, "I am so sorry. Can we speak tomorrow?" And so when I told her this morning why I didn't take her call, she said, "I'm so glad you didn't take my call because you wouldn't have been mentally present. You would have been solving my real estate issue." And well said. It's not just taking the call, it's the mindset that you're in.
Well, and I think that relates back to kids now in that they are plugged in 24/7. Some of them don't even turn off their phones at night, so they hear ding while they're trying to sleep. So I think this is a really good thing because this generation is growing up. There's no such thing as 9 to 5.
Oh, no.
You're dealing with your friends, and then you're gonna be dealing with business. As a business person, you're gonna be dealing with that after 5 o'clock and after hours.
Oh, absolutely.
So-
And our kids watch us do that. I remember my daughter saying, I was on the phone, and it was the bank was closed that day, so it was a holiday. I think it was President's Day. And the customer said to me, "I am so sorry to bother you on your day off." I said, "Yes, I'm actually spending the day." 45 minutes later, and Susie said to me, "That person was not sorry to be." I said, "Right, but manage yourself." I didn't need to take the call either,
Right.
Right? So we all have to create boundaries.
So, best book series you have ever read personally.
Ooh.
The one that engrossed you the most. Not grossed out, but engrossed you the most.
That is hard. That is a hard question.
I did not mean to
Okay,
throw you a curveball.
Well, I can tell you that the most startling book that I read recently was Educated. If you haven't read that
I
book,
just finished that book. Yes.
I mean, I'm getting the chills
Yeah.
just talking about it.
And what is, for those who have not read that, what's the plot?
So Educated is a memoir, which adds a whole new layer to it because it's, a true story. And it's about this girl's life growing up. She did not go to school. She was considered homeschool. They were a very religious family out in it's Idaho, wasn't it?
I think so.
It always felt weird that it was Idaho, but I don't know why. But and just how she got out of that life and built. I mean, she's living in London right now. She's got a PhD
From Harvard.
Yeah, and it's incredible when you think about the fact that she didn't even start really going to school until college. They found a way to sort of finagle her college application, or she found a way to finagle her college application to get in, and almost didn't make it, but she persevered. Like, it's a great story of perseverance and triumphing over the challenges in your life. I just finished it 2 books ago, and same deal, goosebumps.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you and I in our career have dealt with kids, and we have seen some that have not necessarily been planted in the most best garden, but somehow persevere and make something of themselves. That's the most rewarding part of education, I think.
And reading and learning is a way you can do that. And that's why, again, it's so important to get them reading more than just the text on the screen.
You can be inspired by other people's story of triumph over tragedy.
Yeah.
And in my case, you can feel less sorry for yourself and what you thought your problem was, because you don't really have a problem after you finish educated.
Yep.
So what brought this idea, Dave, to mind? Where did it come from? Spring into reading.
So with some of the work that I've been doing with the English language arts teachers has been focused around this thing that was developed by other intermediate school districts around the state called the Literacy Essentials. And we have our own set for 612. There's a K2 set, there's a 3-5 set, and then there's the 612 set. And one of those is the essential that has always been the hardest for me to wrap my brain around is utilizing your community. In a lot of cases, it's talking about like bringing in people into the classroom to talk about how they use reading and writing in their life. But in looking at that and trying to figure out, gosh, how can I make this real? It just sort of realized, we've got this stuff earlier in the essentials about getting kids to get excited about reading and giving them lots of opportunities to read. Gosh, I'll bet the community would love to help give the kids some opportunities to read. So it's my way of sort of mashing some ideas together with this established document as just part of my regular day job. And you guys both know me well. I love to make logos and things like that. So, then I ended up with the one that's plastered on our website, which started as someone else's work that I sort of morphed into the poster piece. And it snowballed from there. And, once you have a logo, well, you're totally official, right? So, then it's...
You can't go back.
No, can't go back. We got to print it on a t-shirt. But, so getting all of that together, and then the teachers themselves, throughout all of the meetings that we've had over the last couple of years, talking about the struggle getting kids to read and getting books into their classrooms. Like, it was just kind of a perfect storm of a bunch of different things, and here we are. So
Awesome. I have a funny reading story. So when my daughter was in first grade at Forest View, Pinkalicious. Do we all remember Pinkalicious?
Read Pinkalicious to both my daughters.
Okay. Are you familiar with Pinkalicious?
actually, no.
Okay. Well, as the story goes, Pinkalicious gets into all the cupcakes, all the candy, and she loves pink sweets. And so she was told not to have any, but she eats everything pink in the house. Every cupcake, every gumdrop, every bubble gum, every cake, every cookie, and she turns pink. And the antidote is to eat collard greens and Brussels sprouts and spinach, And we know how first graders feel about that category.
Love it. Yeah.
So I got a pink, like a Uma Thurman pink wig that was like neon pink, and a pink hat and great big pink sunglasses. And I put on my pink suit and pink shoes, and then I baked 3 dozen bright pink cupcakes with pink frosting and pink sprinkles. And I came in kind of like incognito. And I can remember looking at my daughter and her going, "Oh, no," as I walked in the door, and I said, "Hi, everybody. I'm here to read you a story." And so I read these little kids this story, Pinkalicious, of course, with lots of fanfare and drama and, all the things in different voices and all this. And I get all done and I said, "Now, who would like a cupcake?" Crickets. I had to I read the story about what happens to kids that eat pink food. Anyway, my daughter still talks about it. It was a little embarrassing for her, but it was entertaining for the classroom. The teacher was like, "Thank you. You brought some smiles to us today." So I would encourage people to do that. I would encourage people to reach out and read in classrooms. It's really fun.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yep.
Have you done that a lot?
I actually, when I was teaching in Missaukee, my English classes, we always, every year we had, we called it milk and cookies. And there was one kindergarten teacher in particular, and we would go down to their room and we'd all pick a kid, sit down and read. And it was just wonderful.
Wait a minute. Did you get to eat cookies?
Yes, there were cookies. I skipped over that part, but yes, the milk and cookies, milk provided by the cafeteria. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. I mean, you don't leave a situation like that with anything but a smile on your face.
Oh, it's great.
In our classroom, we don't read, but in the DMP classroom, we do once a year. We do an old radio drama. We do with the Green Hornet or the something from the 30s or 40s, War of the Worlds, which Dave and I have a history with. My first is a true story. My first week in the classroom, I got to be a judge for a mock trial of Orson Welles in a lesson that was written by Dave Johnson.
Oh, that is so cool.
And I thought to myself 10 years ago, I have just lucked into the greatest job in the world.
Sure.
But what I was starting to say was, the radio dramas are fun to do because we have to explain to the kids, okay, we're going back to the days when there was no television, no phones. The radio was your entertainment.
Right.
So you need to sell this. You need to get into character. You need to have fun with this.
Entertain.
And what they do is, unlike back in the old days when the Foley artists actually made the sound effects in real time, ours is what we call a dry read. Okay. And then they take that piece of audio and they all work on their own projects individually. They add the sound effects. They add the noises. They put on the reverb on their voices.
Ooh,
cool.
What a cool thing.
And it's interesting because we just had 8th grade tours the last couple of weeks at the CTC, and more than one student said the radio drama was my favorite project.
Isn't that something?
Isn't that? And to me, that's awesome because it doesn't have any video with it.
Right.
They told a story with their voices. And of course, we have a lot of aspiring voice actors in our class too.
Well, it doesn't hurt that the morning DJ is the teacher on it either.
Well, that has something to do with it.
Come on. Absolutely. You're a role model to them, Rich. And I want to say, like you said, it was the greatest job in the world. You still think it's the greatest job in the world.
I still do. Man, I've been there for 10 years, and it's been the 10 fastest years of my life. And, the credit goes to the administration there. It goes to the people who lead there. They make us very comfortable in what we do. They encourage us to do what we do. And it's the best job ever.
Well, there's so much momentum and positivity. I mean, you get somebody like a Dave Mackey who takes his kids all over God's green earth, and they win all these awards, and in such a niche, marine motors. What? I mean, they're leaving high school with a skill set.
They are, yeah.
Huge.
How did this become about the CTC?
Well, we always kind of touch on it.
All roads
it's a passion of yours.
All roads lead back to the CTC.
That's right.
Dave, we've got about 2 minutes left, so we have teachers in the audience maybe that have not heard about this program. How do they get involved?
So they can email me, and my email address at work is david.johnson@wmisd.org. And I'll get them started. I've only been doing the ELA job this is my second year doing it, just like the SEL work that we're doing together as well. So,
we could do a whole different show on the subject of social emotional learning.
And I'd like to.
Maybe, you know what? Maybe we'll have Dave back in August in advance of the start of the new school year. Why don't we do that?
Let's get off to the right foot with that. Absolutely. Cool. I would like to talk to our listeners about going to see Teresa at Horizon Books and buying some of these
Yes.
books, because as we ramp up the need, we need some people to bankroll this thing, and again, we said when we show the community a need, especially when it relates to children,
Yep.
they'll step up every single time. So go see Teresa, go to Horizon Books, have one of those scrumptious muffins and a coffee, buy yourself a book.
Doesn't have to be pink.
It doesn't. Yeah, buy yourself a book and buy a kid a book.
Yes.
All right. Dave, thanks for doing all that you do for the kids locally.
For the town locally.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on. I really, really do appreciate it, helping get this message out. It's my goal. I hope we clear those lists. So let's clear those lists, Cadillac.
All right. Thanks, Dave.
Dave Johnson, our guest on Cadillac Unscripted. Join us next week when our scheduled guest is, you know what? I don't know who our scheduled guest is, but I can tell you it's going to be a half hour of thrilling radio. Cadillac Unscripted is sponsored by Independent Bank on 107.9 CDY.